Why would someone who struggles to pay bills buy a $1,000 phone? Why would someone drowning in debt finance a luxury car? Why do people with the least money often spend the most on status? Most people think they know the answer. They say it's irresponsibility. They say it's bad money management. They say poor people are making bad choices. But what if the opposite is true? What if luxury spending is actually a predictable human response to scarcity? And what if almost everyone watching this would do the same thing? Here's something most people don't know. Lower and middle income consumers account for nearly half of the global luxury market. Not the wealthy, not the rich. Half of luxury spending comes from people who can't really afford it, and that number is growing every single year. Research from Deutsche Bank found that even the lowest income families spend about 40% of their income on things that aren't necessities. 40%. So this isn't a small or unusual thing. This is a massive, consistent pattern across millions of people. And the question is why? Here's what the psychology research actually says. When people feel like they have very little, when they feel financially trapped, invisible, or powerless, something happens in the brain. It starts looking for ways to feel control again, to feel like it has some power over the world, and a luxury purchase gives that feeling instantly. A 2025 study found something remarkable. When people experienced scarcity, they actually became more drawn to luxury goods. Not less, more, because the luxury item wasn't about the item. It was about restoring a feeling of control, a feeling of worth, a feeling of I matter. Researchers put two groups of people in a room. One group was reminded of financial stress, the other group was not. Then both groups were shown luxury products. The financially stressed group wanted the luxury items more, not because they had more money, because they had less. The stress of not having enough made the luxury feel more necessary, not less. And here's the irony. Rich people do this too. The difference is what they buy. A millionaire might buy a Rolex. Someone earning $30,000 might buy designer sneakers. Different products, same psychology. Both are trying to communicate status. Both are trying to say, I am someone worth noticing. The income is different. The human need underneath is identical. So there are three forces working together here. The first one is status signaling. Humans have always used possessions to communicate their place in society. A luxury brand isn't just a product, it's a message. And for someone who feels invisible, that message matters enormously. The second force is social identity. Wearing a luxury brand makes you feel like you belong, like you've crossed a line, even if only for a moment, even if the credit card bill arrives next month. Imagine two teenagers growing up in the same neighborhood. One wears generic shoes, the other saves for months to buy designer sneakers. To an outsider it looks irrational, but to that teenager those shoes aren't shoes, they're confidence. They're belonging, they're protection from feeling invisible. And in a world where every other marker of success feels out of reach, those sneakers are the one thing they can control. The third force is escapism. When daily life feels heavy and hard, a luxury purchase gives the brain a temporary escape. For a brief moment, you are not someone who is struggling, you are someone who can afford this. And that feeling is worth something to the brain, even when it makes the underlying problem worse. Here's what makes this whole thing harder. Luxury brands know exactly what they're doing. They don't just sell products, they sell feelings, belonging, power, success, status. Their ads don't show specs or features, they show a version of life that feels out of reach. And then they say this product can get you there, not your bank account, just this product for a moment, that's the promise. And for someone who feels stuck, that promise is incredibly hard to resist. Here's the thing, the people buying luxury brands they can't afford are not foolish. They are human. They're doing what humans have always done. Using visible signals to communicate worth. Using purchases to feel control when life feels out of control. The problem isn't the desire. The desire for dignity is completely natural. The problem is when the only tool available to meet that need is a credit card. And the biggest trick luxury brands ever pulled was convincing people that self-worth could be purchased. It can't, never could, never will. But they've made billions convincing us otherwise. And until that changes, the logo will keep working. If this video made you look at a price tag differently, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because the brands spend billions making sure this message never reaches you.